My name is Andrés Conde and I am the CEO of Save the Children in Spain. I'd like to start saying how proud am I of this unique partnership with the Balmain Barcelona Bridal Fashion Week. That despite all the difficulties that COVID-19 has put on this event has maintained a very strong commitment to end child marriage, a very strong social commitment. Save the Children is a 100-year-old organization that is fully focused on the most deprived and marginalized children in many, many different countries of the world. So when we think about the most deprived and marginalized children, we always have to think about girls first, because girls always pay the highest price. And when we think about violation of human rights that girls face in the world in many different places, there's one that is especially cruel, which is forced marriage. Because forced marriage, which means that a teenage girl, imagine a 10 or 11-year-old girl, forced to be married with an older man for purely economic reasons. So the effects of forced marriage are immediate and long-lasting for these girls. There are health consequences of this forced marriage because their bodies are not prepared to have a sexual life with their husbands. It has educational consequences too, because girls are put out of school and then they lose the opportunity to learn and thrive in life. It has violence consequences for girls too, because most of these girls are suffering daily domestic gender-based violence from their husbands. But this horrible situation is something that we definitely can change. Save the Children is changing this situation in many different contexts, in many different countries of the world. But in order to do this, we need your support. So if you are thinking about wedding, if you're a wedding planner, if you are a designer, if you're engaged in the bridal fashion industry, I ask you please to support us, help us end forced marriage in many different contexts. The Bridal Fashion Week has a very unique goal, which is changing significantly the life of over 1,000 girls in Sierra Leone that are affected by forced marriage. But in order to fully understand what's going on in Sierra Leone, what happens to girls in that context, we have the privilege to have here between us Heather Campbell, who is the country director of Save the Children in Sierra Leone. Heather, we'd really like to know, what's the situation in Sierra Leone concerning girls and forced marriage?
Well, Sierra Leone has one of the highest rates of child marriage in the world. And it also has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. And this is no accident. When a girl's body it undergoes pregnancy when she's not ready, the life of her and her baby are in jeopardy. And often they die, either during or right after birth. Also mentally, girls aren't ready for marriage. These are children. They should be playing. They should be going to school. They should be learning valuable life skills. Instead, they're taken out of school by their parents. They're put to work in the field, often with very hard physical labor in the household, and they're forced to have children when they're still children themselves. They're isolated, they're vulnerable, and they're not given any decisions even over their own autonomy, sometimes not even on how to raise their own children. So that's why the Right to Be a Girl program is so important. And when Save the Children decided we had to do something urgently to address this, the first thing we did was sit down with these girls and ask them, what do you want? What do you need? In some cases, this was the very first time anyone had asked them their opinion. And without fail, every single girl said they wanted skills. Not a house, not a car, skills. They wanted to go back to school. They wanted to learn some sort of vocation so they could support their children and their family. At the beginning of this project, I was privileged to meet one girl. She was married when she was 14 or 15. She's not sure the age she was born during the conflict and doesn't have a birth certificate. Now she was 17 years old, 3 kids, a much older husband who was disabled. And when I saw her face, she was dejected, despondent. She couldn't even look me in the eyes, but she just kind of whispered that she just wanted to find a way to support her family. But then a year later, after being part of the Right to Be a Girl project, I went and visited her, and it was amazing. Her face was glowing. I could see the difference even before I started talking to her. And she was so excited. She had so much confidence. She wanted to show me the clothes that she was making and selling to support her children. And she looked me directly in the eye and she said, "My children are not going to marry young. My children are going to go to school." And the Right to Be a Girl project is so much more than just giving skills. It's also bringing girls and women together to have their own safe space where they can talk freely, where they can build their confidence, where they can develop their voice. We want them to be the movers and shakers of their community. And actually, you can see this. Right now, you have girls in this program that are demanding from their traditional leaders that laws go in place that will stop child marriage. They're on the radio waves, talking to parents, to politicians, to policemen, to teachers, to tell them their own personal story of how child marriage affected their lives, and to tell them, don't marry off your daughters, protect these girls. So not only are they changing their own lives and their families' lives, but they're really making a difference in the whole country. So that's why I'm so excited that the fashion industry has decided to partner with Save the Children. It's really so many people coming together across the world and saying, yes, I do believe that a girl has a voice, and yes, I do believe that we can end child marriage.
So even if child marriage is actually one of the greatest violations of human rights that at the moment exist, this is something we cannot change. We can change. We have the evidence that change can happen. But in order to do that, we need your support. So please help us. Help us make this change for girls. Make your donation, and you'll make a very significant change in the life of a girl.